That simple brick building behind me may not look like much to you or I, but it's actually home to thousands of companies that technically do business from Wilmington, Delaware. Why do they do it? Some say it's to avoid paying their fair share in state taxes, but others say it's because states like Pennsylvania charge corporate tax rates that are so exorbitantly high, companies have to seek shelter in places like Delaware, where the cost of doing business is much lower. That building, located at 1209 Orange Street in downtown Wilmington, houses all these major corporations and many more. Yet the parking lot behind the building is remarkably small. There's only 37 spaces. That's because none of these businesses are actually operating here, of course. Most of them simply have a drop box inside, because that's all they need to use the so-called Delaware loophole. Here's how it works. A major corporation sets up a holding company in Delaware, which technically owns things like the company's logos and trademarked slogans. The company doing business in Pennsylvania pays the Delaware holding company for the right to use those trademarked items. Those payments are deductible from Pennsylvania state taxes, and they're not taxed at all in Delaware. Sharon Ward, executive director of the Pennsylvania Budget and Policy Center, a left-leaning think tank, says the practice costs all Pennsylvania taxpayers.
This can be really a considerable benefit to the companies, and it just means a loss to Pennsylvania taxpayers, and the rest of us pay more.
Republican State Rep Dave Reed has sponsored legislation to stop the practice and to gradually lower Pennsylvania's corporate income tax from 9.99%, the highest in the nation.
Nobody should be able to move profits to another state for the sole purpose of avoiding taxation. And state government has allowed that to happen for decades. Companies are just making the prudent financial decision for themselves and their shareholders. We, as a state government, have a responsibility to close those loopholes to make sure everybody competes on an equal playing field.
The State House passed Reed's bill earlier this year, and it could be part of the state budget that is expected to be passed this week.
It's a topic of discussion for the budget negotiations. I at least remain hopeful that it could perhaps be part of the final budget agreement.
In the meantime, Ward says companies will continue to take advantage of the loophole, and places like 1209 Orange Street will continue to thrive.
I hate to say this, but Pennsylvania is the sucker state. Indiana, Tennessee, Kentucky, not just New York, New Jersey, and California, all of these states have said this is not a good thing for our taxpayers. We need to crack down on this because it's just wrong.
For the PA Independent, I'm Eric Boehm.